You know, a chapati can't haiwezi kukunjika hivi unless it's soft chapati. This is how it's looking. This is the meal that you have been preparing for you. We prepared it together. So I start off by measuring out 7 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm obviously using my mixer, but you can always use your hands if at all you don't have a mixer. And it will also just bring as good a job as this one. So after the flour, the next thing I put is 3/4 tablespoon of salt in my flour, just to taste, and around 4 tablespoons of sugar also, and mix it with the hand mixer. Make sure it is well mixed. Then after that, I add in my 4 tablespoons of oil, cooking oil. And then after that, I also mix it properly, because before you put in the warm water in the flour, it has to be well mixed. Then I start adding in my water. I put around almost 3 cups. Just a small amount remains. Then I start my mixing process. I mix it with my mixer, of course, as I told you, but you can also use your hands to do the same. And then I touch it and stretch it to just make sure that it is well softened before I proceed and also add in 2 tablespoons of oil in the flour mixture, in the dough. So that is how much water remained. After putting in my 2 tablespoons of oil, I let it mix properly now, and it becomes a bit more stretchy, as you can see, but it's not yet ready. It's not yet pliable. Then to just make it better to use in making my chapatis, I put it in a dish and cover it up. But the dish also has some bit of oil to avoid sticking at the bottom. And then I cover it with a paper bag, obviously the bread one, because it's unlawful to have paper bags in this country nowadays. Then I cover with a clean piece of cloth and let it rest in my oven. Then I start my cooking my stew. My stew, we're going to be having chicken stew, and I start by my potatoes. After my oil is hot, I just add in my potatoes. I let them fry and mix them. And as I do that, I notice that it has changed colors, which means it has done something. And then I start adding my onions in the potatoes stew, of course. I add my onions bit by bit and mix them. Once my onions are ready, I start adding other stuff that will also be part of the stew. First, I add in my chicken pieces that had remained from what I had used. I had mixed up some chicken and picked some pieces, so you'll see that it's not really a full chicken, but it's chicken. So I just add in my chicken and let it fry with the potatoes for a bit and mix it up properly. Once I realize it's fried properly, I just go in and add in my next spice, which will be my tomatoes. The tomatoes that I add in are the kind that don't cook well, so I wish I had even blended them. And then I add in my salt, of course, and kaffir spice. Kaffir I've always shown you. My garam masala, I add it in, and I add in my turmeric, fresh turmeric, grounded, the natural one, not the shop one. And then I let my spices start cooking, because I need those tomatoes to soften. As much as they are not good quality, I expect them to be soft and to give me the right soup or stew from this mixture. So I just cook my tomatoes. I make sure that they are becoming soft. Then after that, I just add my Royco cubes. Make sure you subscribe, guys. I just add my Royco cubes. I added up to 3 Royco cubes in total, because I realized my Royco powder had run out, and at my local shops I couldn't get hold of some. I went to several shops, sikupata. Then I have some peas on the side. They are pre-boiled, but they were boiled very lightly. I didn't let them cook a lot because of the nutrients. So I just add those peas to my soup over there, or my stew, my chicken stew, I mix them properly. I also let them cook kidogo. And then as they are cooking, once I notice maybe my sufuria is becoming dry and stuff is starting to hold on the bottom of the sufuria, I just add my water. After I add my water, I mix it properly and let it simmer a bit, while I still let my tomatoes cook. You can see those tomatoes, the way they're looking at us with big eyes. But at last, at least the soup looks good. And yet I haven't put the Royco powder. Then it simmers for a bit. I let it cook properly. After that, I taste the soup. I realize something is missing. You know, the way you just know, intuition. I add a bit of salt and remove it. Then I steam my vegetables before I go on to my chapatis. The veggies I steam are cabbages. You know, cabbages hazina kazi mingi. Mafuta ikiiva, you put your onions. After your onions, once they are almost ready, you add in your cabbages. So I just let my onions cook over there. Then that is my cabbage. I'm just gonna add it in little by little once my onions are ready. As you can see, that is exactly what I'm doing, guys. And that is how I cook mine in case I'm having a stew by the side. But if I'm expected to eat ugali with it, of course we do some karanga. We don't leave it like that. This one, I did this because I knew the stew was already spiced and it was already nice, and you know, it will balance it out. So after that, I put them aside when they are ready, and then I just start on my chapatis. You can see it's come from the oven. If you feel the texture, once it comes from the oven, you can see it becomes very elastic. Very, very elastic. You see the way I'm pulling it? You know that your flour is ready. I put some flour there, and then I start cutting into pieces, like the pieces that I'm going to be using to make chapatis. That is the first stage I do when I want to make my chapos. I just cut into pieces. I make sure that they don't get dry. I wish I could have used foil. You know, some of you will come for me, but we move. Yeah, so I start cutting them into pieces. I make sure my pieces are there. When my pieces are all together, I go to the next process, which I'm gonna show you guys. But first, you just cut the normal pieces, like the way you like the size of your chapati. That is the first step for me. After the flour has become ready, after it has softened, after it has stayed for a while, the next step is just cutting them into pieces like this. Then now we start working on the pieces. The pieces that you're working on, I just make sure that I mold it in such a way that I want it to be flat and round. I flatten it and make it level on all sides using my palms and fingers. Then I start with my rolling pin. I just roll them, but I don't go straight to the middle part. If you want your chapati to be round, guys, in case you're having a problem making round chapatis, you just do it on the sides of the chapatis. Turn the first side on the sides. No, you can start with the middle part. Then you start spreading the sides like that, the way I'm doing it. Just look. I'm sure you can understand what I'm trying to communicate. But this part of the rolling doesn't matter, because after all, I'm just going to prepare them to be rolled now in the next stage. The first stage is I cut into pieces. The second stage, I roll them out like this. I apply oil, and then I slice them, but not to the bottom of the chapati. I just slightly slice them. You'll see what I'm doing. After slicing them, I roll them back into the right shape now for the final cooking, and then I do that. So just watch it out and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. This is a cake icing spread or something. That's what I'm talking about. You can see the way I'm like cutting through them, but it doesn't get to the bottom part of the chapati because it's not expected that it gets to the bottom part. Then I roll them back together like that. Then I make it longer like that and twist on the opposite sides, like the opposite sides of the hand. Yes, and then I just do that, as you can see. Now that is how I prepare them. All of the chapatis and then before I start once again rolling them round and then putting them in the pan. You'll just see what I'll do. So what I'll request you guys to do is to watch keenly, so that you can get to learn, maybe in case you have problems rolling chapatis, in case you have problems making your chapatis round. This is all you need to do. I've already started cooking, but I'm sorry, I edited and nikaruka, but I'll show you up to that part how I did it. I'm going to show you with the next chapati, but that is how I cook them. Now for the final point. Spread them as I've told you, side on side, side on side. You can see the swelling, which means they are cooking nicely inside, and the method that I used is okay. Nicely inside, of course, if at all you do it the right way. If you follow my process, if you follow my procedure the way I've shown you guys, I'm sure they'll turn out right. In case you have any problems, don't be like, oh, I don't have this machine, so how do I? Use your hands, you'll make the dough and it should become elastic, as long as you give it enough time. You put enough oil, you put the right temperature of water, as I've told you. Everything will go smoothly and they'll turn out perfect, just like mine, guys. Okay, I'm not perfect, but you can talk to me in case you have any comment below. In case you need to teach me more, I'm always open to learning. I mean, only a fool refuses to learn and to improve. The spoons that I'm also using to cook, I bought them also from Alpha Households as a set. Yeah, that's how you roll. The way I've just explained, you roll them like that to just make them round. But this one wasn't so round. Not as round as I normally make mine. But it still worked, okay? Now we continue. We're at a speed now, because now we know what you're doing. We all know what you're talking about. Okay, guys, if you don't, just go back to this video or talk to me below in my comments. I'll be able to help. So guys, this is the meal that you have been preparing for you. We prepared it together, and this is how it turned out. I added some rice because I love rice, and I had eaten chapati at lunchtime, but the footage went in my, so I have to just eat some of it to show you guys how it turned out. These are the chapatis. You know, a chapati can't haiwezi kukunjika hivi unless it's soft chapati. This is how it's looking. Let me show you the pages, pages. Unaona? It's pages. It has pages. So it's a soft chapo. It turned out the way it was supposed to turn out, and turned out, guys. Vile nimewambia, pages zilitokelezea, ni soft. Hata sasa hatujachemsha vile nakula saa hii. And it's still soft, So basically, if you follow the steps that I've told you, your chapati is not gonna disappoint. The chapati is gonna come out right and correct. But I am gonna have to, the chicken still come out just right, guys. So everything came out well. The chapos vile nimewambia hata sijachemsha sahi, na ndio hiyo nimekula. Very soft indeed. I'm sure, one thing I'm sure about is, if you follow the procedure as I've told you, if you follow the process as I've told you, you'll be able to make your chapatis come out like this. Na utakula na utamaliza zote. They won't disappoint you, guys. Thank you for enjoying the recipe with me. I hope you get to learn something from it. For our Muslim brothers, enjoy your iftar. You can decide to cook this for iftar. It's a very nice, enjoyable meal that is filling. And then anyone else out there, in case you have any inquiries, talk to me. If in case you need any guidance on how I did anything on this video, talk to me. Remember to subscribe, put on your notification bells so that any other recipe I come out with, you'll be able to enjoy it and even try it back home. See you guys next time. Another day, another recipe. Right back here.